at 17. Nick Underhill is our next guest of NewOrleans.Football, which, for what it's worth, like I said last week, it has reignited my kind of Saints reading passion, as Nick just does incredible work on the site. Go check it out. Sign up. Support Nick's work. Nick, do you have an opinion on that Discovery Channel question? Like, do you have a show that back in the day, whenever it popped on, you just kind of caught yourself sitting down and watching it?
Yeah, I mean, before we had the internet and had options of
Yes.
doing things, I definitely got caught up in some cash cab marathons. I would have loved to get in there. I don't think I would have made it very far, but I mean, I definitely burnt a lot of hours watching that show. So that would probably be my pick. I'm not much of a science guy, so that's kind of the default answer.
The red light challenge, man. I mean, how hyped would you have been if you stepped in a cab and all of a sudden the lights start going crazy and then that bald head turns around like, oh my God, it's Ben Bailey. Even though, whatever, that was always actors in the car anyway. All right, Nick, speaking of getting to the dirty root of things, you once again did something insane where you watched every single play of LSU football and every play of the Saints football, and you tried to find out the connecting strands between Joe Brady and what concepts he brought from Sean Payton. Obviously, that is a huge amount of information to start with. How do you think the best way to kind of parse through it for the listener is? Like, what did you find?
So, yeah, I think that it's definitely fair to say that the foundation of the LSU offense is built upon the same foundation that the Saints offense is residing on. A lot of the stuff Sean does, there's a lot of levels concepts, and a lot of the things as passing concepts are designed to create triangle reads for Breeze so that you can kind of look to one side of the field. You don't have to spend a lot of time scanning, but you get three reads and you can hit them. And I think a lot of the stuff that Brady was doing last year was based upon the same stuff. And there's just a handful of Sean Payton passing concepts that are staples of what they do. And you'll see it show up 4, 5, 6, 7 times a game, from different formations and the routes coming from different places, but it all comes together to create the same thing. And, those same hallmarks are all throughout the LSU passing offense last year. And, I actually started drawing every play LSU ran, and I got about 30% of the way done. And I was like, this is kind of ridiculous because he's not even there, so I'm not going to use all this. But, I've been doing that with the Saints for 6 years. I got every play that they ran drawn. So I can kind of see this stuff pretty quickly. And a lot of it was like watching a Saints game, which isn't a huge surprise. But, I was just curious how much influence there really was. And then, is Carolina basically going to be running the Saints offense next year? And, I think to a large extent the answer is yes.
So, Nick, just like in reading the first couple play breakdowns that you have in the article, I was kind of hit with what appeared to be, I think, your big takeaway as well, which is these route combinations are already very effective at stressing and confusing defenses on the NFL level. What you witnessed last year is if you can execute it, you witnessed what these route combinations can do on a college level.
Yeah, if you're not disciplined, I mean, there's a lot of stuff they do that they'll run, especially stuff from trips. Through the routes will be designed to just put the safety in a spot where he has to choose. And in the NFL, you're a little bit more disciplined and you can wait on things a little bit more. And guys are, a little bit more athletic and they've seen more, so they don't get caught as often looking the wrong place or biting the wrong place. But it does happen. But at the college level, I mean, this stuff was just shattering. The safeties, and you bite on the underneath route and it's right there on the outside, or vice versa. And, it was kind of crazy just to see how easy it was for them to get guys open last year. And I think, that's reflected in how many yards LSU had after the catch. There's a massive percentage of Burrow's yardage. And that's, guys getting open 30 yards down the field and then running another 30, after the catch to the end zone. So, I mean, I think a lot of these play designs made things, and not to take anything away from Joe Burrow, who, for my lifetime, I think is the best college QB I've watched. I'd put Andrew Luck in there maybe, and I think I'd probably take Burrow. But, I mean, Joe Brady made things really easy on him. And it's the perfect marriage of, OC and QB. And, I think that's everywhere in the NFL. Joe Montana isn't Joe Montana without Bill Walsh. Drew Brees isn't Drew Brees without Sean Payton. So that's not taking anything away. It was just the perfect marriage of play caller, play designer, and QB.
Do you have an opinion, Nick, on how much a new LSU regime can kind of continue and build upon the concepts that Brady introduced? Because one thing that you've written extensively about in the past is Sean Payton's constant ability to innovate on top of whatever he's already built. How confident are you that LSU can kind of do the same now that Joe Brady's gone?
Yeah, I think they jumped out so far ahead last year with this offense that if you get somebody to come in and call the right plays, I think you could probably run the same offense for a while before people catch up to you. I do think one of the advantages they had is that, I think Burrow was able to do full field reads, which you don't see a lot of with college quarterbacks. And, I think that's a huge advantage there too. But, I mean, just getting the right guy, if they can teach it and they can install it and the next quarterback grasps everything they're trying to do, I don't think that it's going to become stale anytime soon. So, yeah, I mean, they can build upon it and keep tweaking it. It's just, I think if they keep that same foundation in place and, if Miles Brennan can read the field the same way, I don't think it's going to be, the offense falls apart or anything like that. I think they got the right pieces in place for sure.
Yeah, it's like you said, man. The scheme sets the quarterback up for success, and then you just have to have a quarterback that's able to make the right choices. And you know what, your article, so Burrow last year, Nick, talked about how he had quotes where he was like, look, if I make the right read, like the defense cannot be right. No matter what they do, there is an answer. I thought that was exemplified in your piece, which you can find on NewOrleans.Football. Go sign up for the site today. And so I want to ask you, because Payton's kind of route combinations better than probably like anybody in the media world that maybe didn't play for Sean Payton. Are these combinations that he uses and has created, like, how unique are these in the grand scheme of the NFL? Like, what stops? I guess what stops other teams just from just taking everything that they do?
Well, I think one thing that stops teams from taking everything they do is like a lot of guys just haven't gotten hired from there. Joe Lombardi got out. It didn't really work out in Detroit. I'm not sure why Pete Carmichael's really never gotten the shot. I thought that, at some point somebody would have tried to hire him away, but I think he becomes a victim of, some of the stupid thinking in football. He doesn't present like a football guy, He's kind of more like just a regular guy. He looks like a teacher almost, and
he's got glasses.
Command of the room or anything.
It sounds really dumb, but he's got glasses, and it's like you don't think of like a football coach having glasses.
It's true, and it's such a dumb thing. I mean, I think you see Joe Judge gets hired in New York, and he's just like, he could be a drill sergeant. He just has the command of the room, and like that matters. So they just haven't had a lot of guys leave there, and Brady's really one of the first. Ryan New left. He's coaching Ball State, I believe. You got Joe Brady out there. I mean, there just aren't a lot of branches of the Sean Payton coaching tree. It's not because it's not qualified or anything. It's just the guys just haven't, and I think a lot of it's because of Pete Carmichael plugging that top spot. But, I do think that there's a lot of this, some of the stuff they do. I think you do see some of these levels concepts in that, throughout the league, and some of it has been adopted. And, I mentioned Burrow's ability to do full field reads, but, a lot of the stuff they do, and, it goes to what you were just saying about him saying if he makes the right read, he can't screw up. A lot of the stuff they do, you only got to see half the field. And like I said, you get that triangle, you get three reads, and those route concepts are just kind of designed to break a side of the or a side of the defense and overload it. And somebody's going to have to make a decision. And if you choose wrong, and you're going to end up choosing wrong if you end up having to wait too long. And then, not to go off on too much of a tangent, but another part of this is Burrow's ability outside of the pocket, which, extends these plays. And Sean talks often about, making plays off script, and I think that's why they like Payton so much. If you can run these route concepts, overload a side of the field, quarterback gets out of the pocket, your play becomes 3-4 seconds, there's always going to be someone there. And you saw so much of that last year. So as good as the offense was, a lot of the stuff Burrow was able to do, off script, I think just accentuated it. And, that's how you get to the greatest offense probably of all time in college football.
Dude, that just makes me so lusty's probably not the right word, but whatever. It makes me so lusty for the reality in which the Saints get to draft Patrick Mahomes. I mean, like, what would the ceiling be with that offensive mind? And I like that you mentioned that triangle concept, because I talked to Coach O earlier this offseason, and I was kind of asking him, like, his understanding of the offense, and that's what he was going back to as well. That essentially it all revolves around that triangle, creating that triangle, which puts the DBs in an impossible to solve equation. But yeah, man, so Pat Mahomes, you can run with those fantasies. You do have an article that does just that. But why bring him up is because he just got a 10-year deal. If you look at this New Orleans Saints team right now, and I always tell you have to give one player a 10-year deal, or maybe a couple. Like, who's even eligible for that conversation?
I think there's really only 3 guys. I would probably go Ryan Ramczyk first. I think he's probably the safest one. Then I would go to Eric McCoy, and not to stretch, just based off of one season, but 10 years is a really long time. Like, Mike Thomas is 27. Like, you'd like to give him a 10-year deal. And I bet with the way he plays, he'll probably still be really good at 37.
Yeah.
But a guy making it to 37 is a stretch. So I would go Eric McCoy next, and then I think probably Will Lutz. He's top 5 in field goal percentage in all-time NFL history right now. And kickers age pretty well. So I think over 10 years, it wouldn't be a terrible bet. But those are really the only 3 guys I would take a chance on. But my real answer is none. Like, a 10-year deal is insane. And,
not even Ramczyk. Like, you wouldn't even realistically entertain it with Ramczyk.
Yeah, I just don't think so. I think 10 years is just crazy. I mean, yeah. I would probably put my cap on any deal around maybe 5 years. If, you got the right quarterback, Mahomes, Mahomes I would do 10 years for. Maybe Kyler Murray I would consider it, but I think it's way too soon for him, and he's a smaller guy, and the odds of him making it 10 years without taking that one hit that changes his career. I don't want to jinx the guy, but, just his size and the way he plays would make me nervous. I mean, Mahomes is the only guy in the NFL I honestly think I'd do it with.
Yeah, the unquestioned king of the NFL, man. What he's done before age 25 is just absurd, and I'm looking forward to see what he's going to do this year again. Nick, I love talking Saints football with you. You are the best. I know everybody in the Saints fan base is super happy to have you back. Go to NewOrleans.Football. I think NewOrleans.Football.com also redirects there. You can sign up for the site and get you can support Nick directly and get access to all of his wonderful work. Nick, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
And that is at Nick_Underhill if you want to follow him on Twitter. Like I said, just a great Saints voice. So essentially, as he said, right, a lot of what, and that's why I brought up the question earlier. A lot of what Sean Payton has created, Joe Brady, that was the foundation. It's not 1-to-1, but that was the foundation upon which this LSU offense was built. Some other takeaways from the article are simply that, look, you can run these route combinations which stress the defense from a ton of different formations and a ton of different personnel groupings, right? So that's the genius of this kind of offensive system, is that things are never going to look the same before the snap, although for the quarterback's decision-making, they could almost essentially be the same because he's still looking at the same triangle. It's just out of a different formation, and it's with different personnel. A beautiful offense. You saw the results last year. Can they keep it going this year? I think they will. What will Carolina do with it? These are all questions that we need the football season to answer. When we get back, we'll wrap up hour number